Welcome to Be a Light with Mushan podcast. I'm your host, Mushan Payeski. This podcast is dedicated to spreading kindness, positivity, and amplifying the importance of human connection and authenticity. Over the years, through many platforms, organizations, and communities, I met many inspirational individuals. Today, I invited someone I have met many years ago during the pandemic, Valerie Fuson. When I met her, I was in Toastmasters. She was the program quality director in District 30, and I served as the public relations manager. It was such a pleasant experience to work with her to promote the community, the District 30. And ever since, we have been on and off in so many occasions and so many events. And she always appeared to be a great leader. She was so empowering and so inspiring. And recently, she also started a club, improv club. So she has so much to give and to share. So buckle up and let's dive into her story. Now let's welcome my mentor, my friend, and my fellow Toastmaster and the community leader, Valerie Fuson. Welcome, Valerie.
Thank you, Mushang. And I'm so delighted to be on your podcast. This is going to be fun.
Yes, thank you so much for being one of the speakers here because you appear to be a light who brightens people's path. And also you impacted me personally and through so many community services. You as a speaker, as a leader, do you mind to share a little bit of your background for our audience who haven't met you before?
Sure. Before I do that, I just wanted to tell you that you also inspire me.
Thank you.
Because every time I look at you, you're always smiling and you're always trying to be helpful for everyone. And that inspires me because I see that the podcast is Be the Light, and you always are. So you've been a mentor to a lot of people, and I just watch how you handle everything, and you're just so professional and so friendly. So I just wanted to let you know the way that I see you too.
Thank you so much.
So you want to know about my story?
Yes.
I I've struggled. You know, you talk about public speaking. I've struggled most of my life with that. Starting, a lot of us are little girls, especially. We're told to be quiet. My mom used to tell me I'm too loud on the phone. And I used to love to sing in the house. And she told me after she couldn't help me get on key, because I'm off key, that I shouldn't sing in the house. So I started singing in the shower. And then she said, don't even sing in the shower. So my voice kept getting a little smaller, a little smaller. And it's, the story of a lot of girls. We're told to be ladies and told to be sweet and quiet. And it doesn't serve us because, the boys are able to be rambunctious and be on teams. And, when I was a child, girls weren't really in teams either. We didn't have sports, very many sports that we could be participating in. So, I struggled for many, many years. And in my 20s, I realized I have to speak up. I got a divorce and I had to speak up to try and get promotions to support my two children. And I got a lot of books on speaking, on how to get ahead in business. And so I got a lot of tips from that. And I started to use my voice, asking for a raise when I knew that a promotion was going to be, or a position was going to be opening up, and I knew I was qualified for it. So I thought, well, I have to ask for it because otherwise I'm just going to be ignored, and they're just going to, if you're invisible, you're ignored. So that was one thing that I kind of, kept doing that. But I would have my voice, and then I would go back to being invisible, like bring my voice. And so I really wanted to just stay in and stepping into the voice and being more powerful. So I worked on it. I joined Toastmasters. I'm a member now for 30 years. It's a great
Wow.
organization where, people can practice their speaking skills and their leadership skills. And all of a sudden I realized, I was mentoring people, and I said, well, I want to help other women overcome the way I did. And so that's my mission now, is to empower women to find their voice, use their voice, and ask for what they want, and not wait until you're appreciated, not wait until someone recognizes you or tells you, oh, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. So stepping into that power and owning that, and being able to see what other opportunities are there for you, and asking for that promotion, that job, or that interview. So that's what I do now is I help women be stronger and use their voice, get on stages. I think all women leaders and entrepreneurs need to start speaking to grow their business. And women leaders, there's plenty of opportunity in meetings, boardrooms, and also conferences where you can demonstrate your expertise. And I think more women leaders should look at the conferences and see that they can use their expertise on those stages to get more recognition, more visibility.
Yeah. Wow. Actually, it's the first time I heard that you were diminished. Actually, you shared your personal experience when you were young, and that actually set some limitations to you to not be able to speak up. Because in my mind, most Western families are more encouraging, not like the conservative culture that we grew up, like be quiet and be the etiquette is to be quiet, to how to say, to hide your feelings and your emotions. And, but I'm sorry that you experienced that too. But I'm so glad you found a space and you had the courage to find your voice. I can imagine in you say in your 20s you got divorced and then raised two children on your own. That must be hard.
Yeah, it was difficult, but I was on a mission. I was on a
Yeah.
mission to be able to support them, and knew that I wasn't going to get any other um, money other than what I made. So I was on a mission to really be successful, and I had to step up and ask for it. And
Yeah.
Mishang, you say you're surprised, that my that I guess in my culture, not culture, but I was being held back and
Yeah.
hiding my
By the
voice.
family. Yeah.
But you think about, I'm from an older generation, and a lot of
Hmm.
women in my generation grew up that way. A lot of moms they were moms. A lot of women didn't work,
Yeah.
and I was a teenager in the '60s, so uh, it was a different then, where younger people now are able to do a lot of different things that we were able to do when we were children.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. It's the generational gap experience the different challenges. So I'm so glad you were able to get over that the insecurity may be caused by that traditional culture and upbringing, and now you appear to be very confident And really, that's why I was surprised because you always appear to be such a, a confident figure and a leader in front of others. So yeah, I believe you have gone through a lot of experiences, like the transformational experiences. And you said you have been a Toastmaster for 30 years.
30
Actually,
years now.
I'm interested in learning how you find the Toastmasters and how you get into public speaking.
Well, I joined Toastmasters to overcome my fear of speaking.
Yeah.
And then within 6 months, they asked me to be a leader, an officer. So I started my leadership experience right away. And so through the years, I've just taken on more responsibilities and developed my voice. I didn't realize that actually writing a speech made my writing better. So speaking actually helped me get clearer on my ideas. And because you had to give a speech in, 7 minutes, 5, 7 minutes. And so you can't talk about everything. So you have to really pick out what's important. And that is for any speech that you give. You can't go, you're going on stage, speaking at a conference, and you just can't go rattle on. You've got to be specific and narrow down your topic to your audience. So a lot of the skills that we developed through Toastmasters is what I teach in my speaking training, because you've got to you have to have a clear message, and then you have to make sure that you're only staying on that one topic and not expanding into other areas, because I know I go into a rabbit hole when I'm researching, doing things. Oh, that's really interesting. And then diving into this. And then I find something else in that. Oh, I'm going to dive into that. And then there's something else. So I love to learn, and I'm curious about a lot of things. But, so I know a lot of things about things that I've researched. But again, if you're limited on time, you can only pick out the most important things that you want to cover. And you can give different speeches on the different part of it. So it's not like you're eliminating anything either.
Yeah, I agree. Stay focused and also speak on the topic. Have the time concept. It's very important skill sets that we developed from Toastmasters. And that's also why I have been also very passionate. I have been seeing you at all the places that a lot of the times we share the spaces there, and because we have the same passion, we now probably it's a time to just give back to see others grow because of our support.
Mm-hmm.
So you talked about your mission is to help women find their voices. Knowing that is different from doing that. Are there any practical ways you can share briefly here with someone maybe who is truly shy, or they have this imposter syndrome, or they are just insecure, or maybe they grew up being taught, being told that they are not good enough unless they're perfect. So, are there any practical tips or steps you can share?
Well, what I'm finding out with working with professional women entrepreneurs is that we all have imposter syndrome at some point. And then we just, some of us can push through that, because you always have this self-doubt. Is this topic good? Am I dressed okay? So you're always finding out uh, what you want to, how do we want to be perceived is one thing. And we're judging ourselves before we allow anyone else to judge us.
Yes.
And so it's just dressing properly, for your event, making sure that you look good, and then stepping into that confidence that I'm dressed properly for this speaking event or for this meeting, and then just taking a deep breath. If you're going to be speaking, taking a deep breath. Usually before I go on stage, because when you're sitting down, all your energy kind of deflates when you're sitting, and then you're being called you're being introduced. Now you've got to build that energy back up. So what I do is I take like 3 deep breaths while I'm sitting, and then as I'm getting up, I energize myself with the same breath, but this time instead of relaxing myself, I'm energizing myself with the breaths and getting excited. I'm going on stage. So I'm bringing the energy to the stage because you have to be energized to engage the audience too. So that's one thing I do with the breathing, and it's how you stand. If you don't want to be shifting on your hips. One thing that I teach the people I'm training is to be balanced with your feet about shoulder width. Feel like you're a tree where the roots are going through your body into your head so that you're nice and tall and your shoulders are back, not really far back, but back and comfortable, so that you're relaxed on stage and your body is relaxed. This way you can move when you're speaking. You can move to the left or move to the right to have some momentum when you're looking at your audience. You want to look at different people in the audience and keep a longer eye contact with them too. When you're making a point, you want to look at someone maybe 3 to 5 seconds instead of, sometimes they'll just glancing over and over and over, looking at different people. And you're not making eye contact with the individuals. So when you're looking at one person in a big audience, the other people around them, think that you're also looking at them. So, so
Yes.
those are some tips on how to be more confident and engaging on stage.
They are very insightful and valuable tips. Dress professionally, dress for success, and take a deep breath and stand up so you appear energetic, so you can engage the audience. And also, the posture should be straight and balanced like a tree, and also have eye contact. Did I summarize that correctly?
Yes, you did. And then add, our voice is important.
Yeah.
So if you're nervous, it's going to come through your voice as being nervous. So the deep breaths is going to help you. So what happens is when we get anxious, we stop breathing and we have the shallow breaths because we're anxious. And so your breath is you're only taking in a little oxygen and it's up here. And so
Yeah.
you're feeling that, and our voice sounds like that. But when you're speaking from your diaphragm, then your voice is stronger. I was working with someone this weekend at a conference, and I brought a couple of people on stage I asked for the quiet voices, and they came up, and I helped them just with where they imagine their voice is coming from. If they imagine their voice is coming from here or down in your diaphragm, their voice changed. And I heard somebody in the audience go, oh, because they heard this more powerful voice. And it was
Yeah.
just by breathing.
Mm.
So you really have to, one of the most important things is your volume has to be stronger to show that you're confident. So if
Yeah.
you're speaking really soft, then you think that you're nervous.
Yeah.
But when you're speaking with volume, then people see you as confident.
Yeah. especially on stage. You need to project your voice to the back of the room to be able to, reach all the members, all the attendees. Yeah.
And that's what I say. Make sure that your voice carries to the back of the room without yelling.
Without yelling.
From the
Yeah.
diaphragm.
Yeah. That's so important. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom in this. This is on stage. Now I would like to learn because you also mentioned about how women in workspace, how they voice, how they ask for what they think they deserve. And usually they deserve because most women don't ask unless they feel like 95% or actually 100% boxes checked, but they still feel not ready. Actually, I feel like that too. So, what are the tips you can share for the professionals in the corporate world, how they ask, how they voice their desired wants and needs clearly and also effectively?
Yeah. Studies show that more women have higher education than men.
Yeah.
A lot of degrees, and yet women are paid less money. What I read in a book, I think it's Ask, I forgot who the author is that women don't, when they go for a job interview and they're offered a job with a salary, they don't say, is there more? Can I get a high? That's not good enough. I'd like a higher raise. They just accept what is given them. Where a man will go in and negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
Now I need more money than that if you want me. So right at the beginning, women's salaries are lower. So the next raise, the man will get a higher raise, and the next raise, the women's still a little higher, but it's still lower than the man. So they're always behind men's salaries. And a lot of that is just, the custom of corporate America, where they see a woman and they say, well, we can get a woman for less money because she'll just take it. So it's about really learning to negotiate your salary, learning to negotiate your position. And you don't have to be an expert at it, but you do have to have the presence that you're confident about what you do. Make a list of the work that you've done, the outcomes. So it's telling the story of the outcome and not, oh, I really did this, but what was the result of it in dollars? Because in corporate America, they think of results as what's the profit, what's the revenue. So in our jobs, then we need to say, well, I saved the company this much money, or I increased our sales by this percentage. So it's going in strong with your value, knowing that you have the value, you have the expertise, and asking for it confidently. The way you stand, the way your voice projects. That's all part of the presence that you have to develop.
In the ideal world, yes, it's good to provide the numbers. The revenue you can see have a forecast. Some jobs you don't see the numbers. You do a lot of work, but you don't see the direct revenue showing there. It's directly derived from your work. How you present your accomplishment or your work, then to present yourself confidently and with conviction.
Well, it's understanding, what have you accomplished in your position? Mm-hmm. And you can document that also to make sure that you're accomplishing your deadlines. What is the result that you achieved that will help another department? Because sometimes one department is doing all the work and then they're giving the product or the data to another department, and then they're taking that and they're making the sales with that. So if you're in, say, marketing, what have you accomplished? How have you developed the marketing to be positive for the company? So it's really analyzing what how your position has helped the company, and then write that down and then be comfortable with what you've done for that. And one thing that I always did, and I think, companies, you can still do that within a company, is I always try to learn what the other departments are doing, so that if there was another department that I wanted to go to, I already had some of the skill set to move into that department. So it's not just getting focused on just what you're doing here, but learning what the other departments are doing so that you can easily move into another department and get another promotion. So it's looking for the opportunities and being comfortable that you're qualified for them. Being qualified, that's one thing too I wanted to cover, because a lot of women think that they have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And men don't. They just say, yeah, I know how to do that. And then they get hired because I know how to do that, and then they don't. So go before you're ready. Don't wait to be perfect, because Mushang, perfect never shows up. There's always,
that's true.
perfect is just out there, and we never reach perfect. We do reach our experience and the success that we have now, and we can keep improving little by little, keep improving, but you're never going to be perfect. So you can't just sit and wait for that. You have to go with what you already have.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, yeah, you made a great point. In each position, you have different quantitative you need to measure. Even if even it's not money, that type of revenue number, task number, or any projects number, all those can be used to identify the work that you did. And also, yeah, we don't need to be perfect. Don't expect anyone to be perfect to be valued or awarded. And so there's another thing that some people would say, if you ask your voice loud to ask for what you want, they may I know many people have this fear of judgment, being judged, maybe being greedy or being too ambitious to some people. Because, as you said, many people actually thought women needs to be more quiet,
Nice.
And also, especially for example, for this podcast, it's about kindness. How women in a workplace to be both being kind and also assertive at the same time.
Yes, and I think we can all do that. You do that.
Thank you.
So we can be kind, we can be generous, we can lift other people's voices, yet we have to stand in our own power too, and not let other people put us down or judge us or say things to us to diminish us. Because we're grown women, we're not children. So we need to stand in our power. Actually, somebody called me the other day and they asked me, they told me all these, things that, I'm kind and I listen, and they, I can't remember what else they said, but it was just that, that I help people So
Yeah.
I'm generous.
You're very.
But I
Yeah.
stand in, but she said, but you stand your ground.
Mm.
So she was looking for advice. And what hit me was that I stand my ground. And I said, oh, wow, that's important. So that's a key thing that we all need to learn is to stand our ground when, let's say you're in a boardroom in a meeting, and this happens a lot, is that a woman will say something and then a man says the same thing, and now the man is heard and not the woman. Or they'll take credit, and I'm not saying all men are like this, I'm just saying that it does happen
Yeah.
where a man might even take credit for a woman. So again, it's standing your ground and not letting men talk over you either.
Mm.
And one thing that you can do in that situation, if you're saying something, a man will cut you off, and they're start talking about what they want to talk about and just cut you off, and you're what do? You're just going to sit there and let it happen, or be shocked, and you look like, oh my God, what happened here? And you just softly, smile and say, excuse me, I'm not finished yet.
That's
And
great.
one
Yeah.
of my mentors, she's an attorney, a speaker and an attorney, and she said that she was always talked over. And so she would just say, excuse me, I'm not finished yet. And they would talk over her again, excuse me, I'm not finished yet. And so this kept happening in meetings. And then finally, her supervisor said, excuse me, let her finish. They finally heard it.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's standing your ground and making sure that you're not talked over, and you can be nice about it, but make sure that your voice is still strong, instead of, oh, but I'm not finished yet. No, you have to be assertive.
Mm.
I was in a meeting once, and a woman trainer asked a women's networking group, what's the difference between assertive and aggressive?
Yeah.
And I was waiting for somebody to say something because I knew what the difference was. And some of them said, isn't that the same thing?
No, shouldn't be, right?
No, it's not. Assertive is standing your ground. Aggressive is,
Yeah.
walking over people.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to know that, assertiveness is okay for us. We can be assertive. We don't have to be aggressive, but we definitely have to be assertive and stand our ground.
Yes, I agree. This is not only in workspace, it also applies in marriage, in relationships. I think
I agree. Yeah.
you need to be both. Just a
Mhm.
puny kind or nice, not enough, because you need the assertiveness to get what you need to. Because
Yes.
only one-sided gaming actually sometimes may not be the best to have the balance. I mean, I experienced that, so I know it. You're
Yeah.
right. I do. I can be canned, but I have boundary. I don't allow people to take
Advantage.
my kindness for
Mhm.
granted, or to diminish me
Yeah.
using
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. They're
Had
taking they're taking your power by doing that, and you can't let anyone take your power.
Yeah. I usually, in the beginning, I may not know, and let people take it, and eventually there's a degree, I
Mhm.
think, for that.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing that. Have you experienced any personal experience in workplace or in relationship that you have to stand your ground and also being assertive to voice your opinion or your perspective to resolve some unfairness treatment.
Yeah, and it's happened in marriage, where somebody might be arguing about something that's really not important. And what happens is that you start arguing about something that's not important. So I decided that I'm only going to argue about things that are important. And I kind of learned a little bit of that when I was a child with my mom. My mom was, she liked to have things her way, and you could not convince her any other way. So I just like, all right, I'm not saying anything. I'm going to go do what I want to do anyway, but I'm not going to tell you about it, because there would be an argument, or she would chase me around the house arguing. And I said, I'm not talking about it. And so I think that might have helped me also, in marriage, where I've decided that I'm only going to really argue about things that are important, because I kept feeling that I was being talked over a lot. And what I decided then is, okay, think about it. Is this worth having an argument about or not? And so that's how I would base whether I was going to carry the discussion further into maybe an argument, or standing my ground. Is this really important? Is this, do you want green beans or not? It's not worth, some things are not worth an argument. So I got to the point where I would stop and I would analyze that really quickly. And then there were times occasionally when I would say, I'm going to argue about this anyway, because this is a point. I'm not going to let this happen right now. So then I would argue about it anyway. But I knew that I went in with that purpose, rather than being caught off guard into an argument. So it was purposefully that I was going to stand my ground on this, whether it was small or not. And so there are little things that you can do to stand your ground and also keep peace. So there are situations at work sometimes when somebody's aggressive. And what I'm thinking is that people that are aggressive at work are, some of them are bullies. They're trying to make you uncomfortable. But a lot of times it's because they are, or they're jealous, or they're having a bad day. And so what I've learned to do is not engage those people when they're kind of crazy. I would just, in my mind, I don't do it physically, but in my mind, I take a step back so that I can get grounded and breathe. And now I can respond or not respond. So there are times when I won't respond to somebody, I'll just kind of walk away. So it depends on the different situations. Because a friend asked me, she was always getting into defensive, because someone's telling her something and she's getting defensive, and she says, how do you stay calm? And I told her, it's because I take the one step back and then stay calm, and they're waiting, these people are waiting for a reaction from you. And I just stay calm in my face, because I'm not letting them push my buttons.
Yeah, you are very good at it. You're very good at it. I think that's such a great strategy. That's the EQ. You have high EQ, as we said. Uh, when you are able to process, you allow yourself time to process. Usually, you can handle situations much more calmly and wisely. So that's something, yeah, definitely we can learn from you.
Yeah, don't let anyone push your buttons, because it's not worth it because you're getting aggravated from that.
Yeah.
And so it's not worth your aggravation. And you're also giving them the gift that they wanted.
Mm.
They
Yeah,
wanted to
that's
push your
true.
buttons, they did. And now
Yeah,
they walk away happy and you're there angry.
yeah. So actually, this is the way finding your voice or making your voice loud by not saying anything in the right in some situations.
Mhm.
Actually, it's being silent or delayed. Actually, it's more powerful than being aggressive and being loud
Mhm. Or being defensive. Yeah.
or being defensive.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, I've been told that I say a lot with just my eyes. So in some situations, all you have to do is give somebody a look and like not even say anything, just say, in your mind, are you serious? And just give them this look, and that just will disarm somebody too.
Mm.
It just shows because everyone, we're reading each other's body language, we're reading each other's facial expressions.
Mm-hmm.
And that shows, are you happy? Are you in discomfort? Are you angry? Are you being obnoxious? It all shows in your face. So you're learn to read. That's one other thing I would say is, with your voice is learn to read facial expressions and body language, and that helps you communicate better.
Definitely. So now I want to thank you so much for all the tips and all these great ideas, especially actually this body language means a lot. They are very practical and very valuable tips. Also, improv is a big part of your, at least your big part of your spare time and hobby, I would say. Is that accurate? I believe you are very passionate about it, right? Improv.
I'm passionate about it because it's so much fun,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a good training skill set.
Yeah.
So I took improv. I just went one time. I was going to go for one time actually. A friend of mine dragged me there, and I said, "Well, I'm not funny." But I thought, well, this might help me kind of get over my fear too of speaking, is getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So I did take like a 8 week, I think an 8 week program, and then I ended up taking the next step and the next step. So I stayed a year, and I was in the room with 20-something-year-olds, and I was in my late 50s. And they kept asking me to stay, and they liked playing with me because I want to play with them. It's improvisation. It's fun when you're creating these scenes, and it's all unscripted. It's thinking in the moment, and you have to go with what the other person says, and you're building on something together, and you can't negate anything, because if you negate anything, the scene's dead. So it's yes and. That's where the yes and comes in, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
builds the scene or the skit,
Mm-hmm.
the relationship. It's yes anding everything so that it continues, and you're building a story out of it. Well, the same thing goes for communication skills,
Yeah.
and and I use it in training because everyone needs better communication skills. And I use the yes and because that helps with collaboration, it helps with brainstorming, and it helps with building ideas. There's no judgment. If you're judging, and the same thing with when we're judging ourselves before we even let anyone else judge us, as I said earlier, to oh no, I'm not good enough, I'm not, I'm not, I can't do that. Well, you're judging yourself. And so in improv, we have to take away all of the judgment so that whatever I say, you're not going to judge me. Whatever you say, I'm not going to judge that. We're just going to keep playing with it. And so that creates trust in team building.
Yeah.
Because I know that you're going to have my back. And so the improvisation training helps with team building. It helps with communication skills. It helps with storytelling. And it helps with thinking in the moment. Because our life isn't scripted. Someone in the
Yeah.
elevator, is asking you a question and you can't say, what book did you read that out of?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let me go check my script before I answer you. So life is unscripted.
Yeah.
So improv teaches you to be comfortable in that moment and respond. And so there's so many life skills and business skills that you can get out of improvisation. And so it's included in my training, in my speaking training, in my leadership training. It's about getting up and doing rather than me lecturing.
Mm-hmm.
Is about you getting up and doing what I'm asking you to do. Tell stories to each other, build, the relationship, do a podcast interview in a skit.
Mm.
And so everyone's having fun, but they're learning from that. So if you're think of it, you're in a lecture and you're just listening, you're falling asleep and you're listening, but you're not really listening, you're checking your phone. But if you have to get up and do the work, you're going to remember more.
Yeah.
You're going to remember what you did, what you heard, what you saw. You're going to remember it because you're also having fun doing it.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. I have been in your practice and games so many times. Every time I had so much fun. So for our audience, if you want to learn to loosen up and to be a more confident public speaker or communicator, definitely reach out to Valerie. And also there's a Toastmasters Club actually will be on Thursday, tomorrow. So yeah,
The
also
improv
reach out.
edge, the
Yeah,
improv edge
yeah,
Toastmasters. Yeah,
yeah, the improv age.
yeah. And
And
then I
that
also
you
have,
can have a test of
yeah, you can
this.
practice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
practice. Yeah.
yeah. I also do workshops. I'm having a workshop this weekend, commanding the room, even if it's virtual.
Mm,
So,
nice.
so I do workshops. They can contact me and find out when I'm doing another workshop. I do, different kinds of workshops, but it's all about being empowered and learning the new skills.
Yes. You just have so much wisdom and so much knowledge in public speaking, in communication. We can talk on and on. And so my podcast is Be a Light. What does be a light mean to you?
Well, be a light. I love the way the light is shining all around you. And it's being kind. It's
Mhm.
being authentic. It's being yourself.
Yes.
Where a lot of times we're trying to impress people or we're trying to be different. And I know when I first, was in my 20s, I thought being professional, I had to be, talk like this and trying to lower my voice. And I thought that was being professional, and it's not. It's conversational. But being the light is being kind to people and helpful and mentor when you can mentor, take advice when you can take it, when you need it. So it's just giving out all this loving energy, and it opens up because we all have energy.
Yeah.
And are we giving good energy, or are we giving bad energy to people?
Yes. Definitely. I feel the good energy from you ever since I met you. I always got this great energy from you. I love that.
Thank you, thank you. And I
So
and I
thank you.
and I get it back from you too.
Thank you. Yes. So at the end of this episode, do you have any other advice for our audience for us to take away?
I guess one thing it would be to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Don't judge yourself. Other people are going to judge you, but we judge ourselves harder. So don't judge yourself. Believe in yourself. Know you can do it, and ask for what you want. People aren't mind readers. And that's a lot of times, women, my husband, I wanted to do this and he didn't know that. Well, you didn't tell him you wanted to do that. So it's the same thing
Yeah.
in life. No one's a mind reader, so you got to ask for what you want, and if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely be a good communicator and voice what you need to be heard. And don't be afraid and trust yourself and believe in yourself and find your own voice. And thank you so much for sharing so many great, insightful tips and tricks and the knowledge and the steps for us to follow in life, how to be a better communicator, be a more confident person in general. So thank you so much, Valerie, for being a light to me and to our audience.
Well, thank you, Mishang, and I really appreciate your friendship, and I just love you.
Oh, thank you. I love you too. Thank you so much, Valerie.
Thank you.
For our audience, if you like this episode, please do share, like, and comment. And remember, no matter where you are in life, you have the power to be a light for yourself and for others. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.